I am an evolved Christian. See, in evolution, we have these Christians that came along and they were more evolved than the pagans. And I became a Christian because evolution, which Jesus Christ started, made me choose Christianity. And we can see that Christianity is evolution's choice if we accept evolution for humanity. Because in the Christianized world, most people are Christians. That means that Christianity is the dominant genetic structure that we have. We as Christians are more evolved because it's only been for 2,000 years. Now, where did Christianity come from? Well, what Christianity came from was there was a group of men, they were called 12 disciples of this imaginary person, whom is not written about anywhere else in history. There's no reason except for the Bible to think that Jesus Christ existed. Now, the Bible came to us in its current form. All these books were in there. All these characters in the Bible, they all came together. You see Luke somewhere and you see Luke somewhere else. Just because Luke was around in these days, they just got together and decided to choose the name Luke. But Christianity is more evolved. It's what humans are evolving into. And it may be Muslims next. We're seeing the Muslims take over. And maybe Islam is the future for humanity. But people got together. And, Paul said for slaves to submit to their masters. Not saying that Paul approved of slavery, but he said slaves submit to their masters. And see, that was the revolution of the lower class taking over the upper class by submitting to their slave masters. I don't think Paul approved of slavery, but he wrote to a slave owner telling him to release his slave. Now, I'm saying that we have come from possibly single-celled organisms, possibly from a lightning bolt striking water. And we turned into all these hundreds, if not thousands, oh, now I'm showing my ignorance, hundreds, if not thousands, maybe millions of processes during our lifetime, maybe in a minute. I don't know. See, the atheists get science degrees, and some Christians get science degrees, but those people get death threats. And I don't even know if they're Christian, to be quite honest. But humanity has evolved to become Christian because the people were ready for the truth, which was made up. Completely and utterly made up. And the people actually believed it. It's what we're evolving into. Believing into fables. When we have science, which would never lie to us, and evolutionists who aren't angry at God and don't say anything that they don't mean because they didn't get the toy they wanted for Christmas, and then they found out Santa Claus didn't exist. And so I'm just telling you, God doesn't exist. It's really sad. They're smart enough to know that God doesn't exist, but we're seeing the evolution into a Christian world. We're seeing the evolution into a Christian world. Do you appreciate comedy? We're seeing the evolution into a Christian world. You see this little peach. Apparently God wasn't powerful enough to make it very big. It's a little peach. But he was powerful enough to make it beautiful colors and taste good. And the biological processes in my body are to be accounted for this tasting good. I don't even know what good is. I've probably just evolved to think this is good when it's really not. And juicy. Who wants something juicy except they've been evolutionarily trained to appreciate sweet, juicy things? It's merely random. Now, if you look at all these people out there, whether they be atheist or Christian, they're probably, some of them, smarter than I am. I know they are. But I've evolved to the new wave that is coming, the Christian wave. Because we see how, although science says God didn't make this. That's what science says. Science looks at a peach and they say, look at this. God didn't make that. It's impossible. Their own theories might be impossible, but you have to use your imagination. Don't we all have to use our imaginations? I make up God, and then other people go around telling stories about stuff. As an excuse to hate God, and look, he left me a pit. Oh, I'm so angry with him. You know, if God really loves us, why do I suffer? You know, you'd think I would be the only person in the world that wouldn't suffer. The only person in the world, with this just, I'm probably a Christian just to be malicious. It seems like most of them are. But Christianity is the evolution of God. And we're coming to accept a greater God. I call them free thinkers. They're willing to open their minds up to say that there is a God. Now, many people, and that includes the atheists, who have nothing against God whatsoever, they just don't believe he exists. They wouldn't even try to give me a death threat or anybody else. Isn't that beautiful? It's probably evolutionary to discern that it's beautiful. It's really probably not beautiful. It's probably ugly. They're evolved, these atheists. God gave them bigger brains. Now, understand evolution. I don't understand it. Sometimes I even think they don't understand it. It's the pets. I have a moderate amount of intelligence, and that's about true. I have a moderate amount of intelligence. But the atheists evolved with a greater amount of intelligence, but there's a separation because of certain segments of society gathering in certain places. I have the belief in God, which is the next evolutionary wave, and they have a lot of the intelligence, even though I understand calculus and I think it's pretty easy. That certainly doesn't mean that I'm smarter than necessarily other people. See, Rabbit Ape, last I heard, was going for a physics degree. If he can get a physics degree legitimately, then I'd say he's smart. Just as I'm pretty smart. But I got the evolution of believing in God, and I was evolved so much that I don't believe that it was just by chance, and I believe God's hand was in it all the way. And if you're with me this far, that's all you need to know. And that peaches are delicious. I want God to bless you. I love you. Thanks for listening to me. I'm waiting for this to shut off. It says 0 minutes. Maybe I could throw in another joke. But I'm smart enough to believe in God. But not smart enough to get a science degree. Only a biology minor. which was really easy. You get a biology minor, it's pretty easy. I had more trouble with foreign language than I had with a biology minor. Is this thing shut off? It's still blinking. Oh, come on, use up the whole thing. You know, I don't even know how to operate this thing. There are probably other people that spend hours upon hours trying to learn how to operate a video camera. I spent a few seconds to just turn it on. I don't know how most of the features work. Some people ended up with intelligence and I ended up with God.